I'm Max Darrow, and this is The Minute. A search continues for a missing hiker in San Mateo County. Margaret Elaine McKinley, a 79-year-old woman with dementia, was last seen on Thursday around noon. She became separated from a group of friends while hiking in the Windy Hill Open Space Preserve. So far, around 150 search and rescue people are out looking for her. The DMV has surprised some Californians this weekend with fast and smooth Real ID appointments. Most visitors were able to get in and out in under 30 minutes, taking care of business just in time for the Wednesday deadline. More appointments are available next weekend. The Warriors face the Houston Rockets today in a deciding Game 7 playoff matchup. The winner goes on to a second-round matchup versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Dubs have experience going for them. 7 members of the team have played in a Game 7 before. Tip-off is at 5:30 p.m. our time. Playing in Houston. I'm Max Darrow with The Minute.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Almost all the toys in his store are made in China. How the trade war could mean bad business for a Peninsula store owner and the local warehouse where he gets his inventory.
America the Beautiful, made in China.
Having empty shelves is not a regular thing around here.
It is a dreaded diagnosis, ALS. We'll tell you how AI is helping doctors detect rare diseases much sooner. Plus, we'll introduce you to the Oakland man who is saving the planet by restoring shoes rather than throwing old sneakers away.
There's millions, billions of shoes in the world already, and they're creating a lot of waste.
How he is also teaching people how to create their own custom kicks. Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Max Darrow. Let's get right over to meteorologist Zoe Mintz.
Happy Sunday. I'd say it's going to be a Sunday fun day across the Bay Area, especially compared to yesterday, as the winds are going to be calmer, plenty of sunshine, and temperatures back to normal for this time of year. For early May, this is what we should be feeling. We'll be back in the 70s, if not upper 70s, across the far inland East Bay communities, maybe even near 80 degrees in Fairfield. Low 70s down in the Santa Clara Valley, upper 60s closer to our bay, and then low 60s along the coast. Even they'll be warming up this afternoon as our winds begin to change direction. You notice today they're coming in from that onshore direction, but by late tonight and into early tomorrow morning, they will be switching around to an offshore wind. And as many of you know, offshore winds usher in much drier conditions. And they're going to be pretty gusty offshore winds as well, which is why we do have wind advisories in effect from late tonight through early tomorrow across the highest elevations of the interior parts of the Bay Area. Could be seeing those gusts up to 45 to 50 miles an hour when the rest of us will be anywhere from 25 to 35 miles an hour. And again, because it's coming in from the offshore direction, it's ushering in drier air. But the good news is, fire concerns are at a minimum with this system because we're looking at the soil and all of the stuff that normally catches on fire. It's pretty wet right now. It's pretty saturated. So fire concerns not as high, even though the offshore winds are definitely picking up tomorrow afternoon. That's going to allow our temperatures, though, to really warm up, especially across the interior parts of the Bay Area. We'll be seeing those highs getting into the upper 80s. We'll be seeing them in the upper 80s from Livermore all the way in to Napa, Vallejo, even mid-80s. Low 80s down in the Santa Clara Valley, upper 70s to low 80s, even for areas around the Bay. Even Redwood City could be at 81 tomorrow. Pacifica, potentially 70 degrees as a high temperature tomorrow afternoon. And even here in San Francisco, we could be near 80. So it is going to be really, really warm tomorrow, really, really sunny, and a bit windy as, again, those offshore winds develop. High pressure will continue to build overhead as well, and that's going to keep our temperatures at or above average basically for the rest of the week ahead of us. Low pressure quickly departing, those offshore winds picking up tomorrow afternoon, and then quieting down by Tuesday. Maybe a degree or two cooler on Tuesday afternoon, and cooling down even more on Wednesday, but it's not going to be necessarily cold. It's just going to be back to seasonable, maybe a degree or two below on Wednesday, back down into the low 60s across areas around the Bay, and then back into maybe the low 70s for our inland communities, and then right back into the 80s by Thursday, Friday next weekend, upper 80s. So overall, the first official week of May is looking really, really nice out there. A roller coaster of temperatures on the way, but no need to grab that umbrella.
China makes nearly 80% of the toys sold in the United States. And right now, retailers here in our country are facing a lot of uncertainty as they try to plan for the holiday shopping season amid the ongoing trade war. Earlier this week, President Trump defended his tariffs against China. but admitted that it could lead to some empty store shelves and higher prices, especially in the toy aisle.
Somebody said, oh, the shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe the children will have 2 dolls instead of 30 dolls, you know? And maybe the 2 dolls will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally.
So a toy store owner on the peninsula says he has been receiving email after email from his suppliers explaining the different challenges that they're facing. And inventory and uncertainty seem to be the common threads. His shelves may be stocked with different toys and games for kids, but the majority of what John Kivranian sells have one thing in common.
97% of the toys that we sell in our store are made in China.
He says that's been a constant for decades, about as long as he's run his shop, Nuts for Candy and Toys, in Burlingame.
America the Beautiful, made in China.
But since the start of the year, he's dealt with a new constant: uncertainty.
It's unpredictable what's going on with these tariffs. How do I do business without knowing what's going to happen tomorrow?
And that uncertainty traces upwards. Kivranian says he routinely gets emails from his suppliers saying they're raising their prices, can't fulfill orders, or aren't even ordering new products anymore, citing the Trump administration's 145% tariff on Chinese imports.
I'm not going to order like I used to because I'm not willing to pay the high prices. My concern is that I will get stuck with the inventory and the consumer will not buy it. And I will tie up my cash flow, and that will hurt me.
John Hansen is one of those suppliers.
Having empty shelves is not a regular thing around here.
He's a puzzle, game, and toy manufacturer and distributor.
Over here, we had some chess sets.
He sells to around 1,500 retailers from his Petaluma headquarters.
Anywhere from your mom and pop toy store on the corner up to some major accounts as well.
He says around 75% of their sales are products that come from China.
We have a lot of inventory at various stages of either being ready or being made in China that at this point is just sitting there.
Why is it just sitting there?
Well, because to ship it at this point, it would be to pay the tariff at 145%. It would no longer make sense to sell for the next couple months. What's here is what we can sell.
Hansen says on an average year,
we're bringing in 40 to 45 containers. So far this year, we've brought in 2.
From his vantage point, this state of flux is throwing the future out of balance. And that includes looking towards the holiday season.
The uncertainty is the biggest thing. We can't go out and quote our customers, especially the larger guys. We can't plan for fourth quarter yet, which we would normally be doing right now. My concern is also for a lot of my customers that are small shops that rely on turning over product regularly.
Kivranian buys Hansen's puzzles, which don't come from China.
This product is from Spain.
However,
this product used to have a 3% tariff. Today, it's at 20%.
As of now, Kivranian says he has not raised his prices.
We are going to wait and see what happens because we have still 4 to 5 months worth of inventory.
In this time of uncertainty, Kivranian is certain the status quo is unsustainable.
And I believe if this tariff continues on, within the next 4 to 6 months, you will see empty shelves all over the country.
He hopes for a resolution soon before small businesses start to call it quits. Another price hike due to tariffs. Xbox raised the price of their video game consoles. They'll also be raising the price of games this upcoming holiday season. Surging cocoa prices worldwide and the ongoing trade war between China and the United States impacting local chocolatiers here in the Bay Area. Kenny Choi reports on this double whammy and how small businesses are navigating the quickly changing and challenging landscape.
For 24 years, Wendy Liu, who started making chocolate as a teenager out of her family kitchen, has been honing her craft and growing her small business as a chocolatier in San Francisco.
Finally, 11 years ago, was able to open up this space here on Folsom Street where we manufacture all the chocolate. We ship all the chocolates from here.
Liu says over the last 6 months, her supplier raised the price of cocoa, one of the key chocolate ingredients, by 20%, then 40%, and then an additional 20%. She resisted for as long as she could, but had to raise prices for the first time in 3 years.
I've been noticing that consumers are still purchasing but spending a lot less.
The price of cocoa surged in 2024 and this year too. Analysts say the global shortage is driven by climate change and severe weather disruptions. Joseph Balagtas is a professor of agricultural economics.
Wholesale prices of cocoa beans were $9,000 US dollars a ton. That's up 4.5 times from 3 years ago.
Rising cocoa prices, plus the impact of tariffs on goods from China, like the packaging Sokola chocolatier uses, have made the immediate road ahead bumpy.
We don't know if there's going to be any savings now because of tariffs, and we haven't seen what that's going to look like. And so it's hard to say, that we are going to raise our price by X, Y, or Z at this moment.
Lou is absorbing as much of the additional cost as possible, and profit margins have thinned. She has avoided layoffs at her Folsom Street and SFO location in Terminal 3, but may have to cut hours for her 10 employees if sales continue to slow down.
It's really important to continue to support small businesses in our communities. It could be the difference of people staying open or closing.
Lou says many chocolatiers are desperately trying to stay alive, and that asking for support is better now before it's too late.
Ivory Coast is the world's biggest cocoa producer. President Trump said he plans to impose a 21% tariff on products coming from that country, which is the highest among West African nations. Still ahead on CBS News Bay Area on this Sunday. They served as a lifeline for many small businesses during the pandemic. Those parklets aren't cheap to keep. Many of them have since disappeared. We'll tell you how one business owner, inspired by Legos, is working around some of the red tape.
We throw community parties and block parties on the street, so the cool thing is it's so versatile.
Plus, a 50-day journey down California's coast meant to mark the end of the Vietnam War. We'll introduce you to the former refugee organizing this event. And detection and prevention, how one woman is using artificial intelligence to track a disease that might be hidden in her genes.
Hi, I'm Nana Nakase, head coach of the Golden State Valkyries. We are counting down to tip-off on KPI X and Pix Plus. Let's go! Let's go!
Happy Sunday. We are in for a treat with a gorgeous first official week of May ahead of us. And today it's going to be significantly warmer than yesterday with a lot more sunshine and a lot calmer winds. By tomorrow, a significant heat up on the way. Upper 80s returning to our inland locations, although a bit of a cool down will be arriving by the middle parts of the upcoming week. It's just going to be back to seasonable for this time of year. It's really not going to be below average at all for the first official week of the month. Even our coastal communities are going to be warming up to near 70 tomorrow afternoon. A beautiful beach day to kick off the week.
Remember the rise of parklets? The little outdoor dining areas on the street that took off during COVID? More than 1,000 of them were sprinkled across the city at the height of the pandemic, but now only about 300 or so remain. However, Kara St. Cyr explains a new approach inspired by Legos could soon spark a revival.
Hi, how can I help you today?
Leia Sabato's coffee shop, Excelsior Coffee, was almost perfect.
All in the wrist.
It just needed one thing, an updated parklet.
When we were looking at updating it to today's laws, that's when we realized it was going to be $60,000. It was probably not going to happen.
But she still got what she wanted for $375 a month. Leia is the guinea pig in SF New Deal's Building Blocks project, which aims to give small business owners access to parklets for a fraction of the cost. Simon Bertrang, the executive director, says businesses only pay a monthly fee.
So in the pandemic era, people could put them up for $10,000 to $20,000. There are parklets throughout the city that have costed upwards of $100,000.
Parklet use exploded during the pandemic.
There were no fees and there were very few regulations.
But new regulations made upkeep and construction costly. Of the 1,000 parklets that popped up in 2020, only 327 of them are in compliance. Bertrand is trying to boost that number.
The selling point for the business owners is that we become the experts in the compliance issues and how to meet ADA codes, how to meet the fire code.
Leah will keep an eye out for maintenance issues.
So, here it is.
But most of the responsibility falls on the program. An easy trade-off, she says.
It gives us the forward thinking to hopefully extend our hours, expand our menu. And then, we throw community parties and block parties on the street. So the cool thing is it's so versatile that I think we could, and elevated that I feel like we can use it as a stage too.
Leah's parklet is the building block of a larger goal, bringing back community.
Although it is ours, it still serves as a public parklet.
While her parklet might be the first, she definitely won't be the last.
SFMTA says more than 200 new parklets are already working towards approval. Last week marked 50 years since the end of the Vietnam War and the fall of Saigon. Lê Lam, whose family fled Vietnam, kicked off a 1,000-kilometer journey to honor the mass exodus of Vietnamese refugees 50 years ago, as well as the hundreds of thousands who were lost at sea. Over the next 7 weeks, he will hike down the California coast before ending at a park in Fountain Valley, which is one of the cities that makes up Orange County's Little Saigon. Arlen Ramirez caught up with him as he got ready for his journey to find out what is driving him.
I call it Mobile Command Center. It's not quite done yet.
Lê Lam is preparing for a 50-day, 1,000-kilometer hike along the California coast to remember the boat people.
So we're gonna take it, one day at a time. And
it's part of a mission of his that began when he was a child and survived his own harrowing voyage at sea on an overcrowded boat to escape Vietnam with his family. Now in his late 50s, Lee wants to be sure the estimated 400,000 Vietnamese refugees who did not make it to freedom will not be forgotten.
This 1,000-kilometer hike is not just a hike, right? It's it's a moving tribute to the boat people who lost at sea. Also to celebrate at the same time to those who made it through.
After a 15-month journey that included stays in refugee camps, Lee's family resettled in Oakland. He was in middle school when a teacher assigned his class to write a journal, and he wrote about being in the boat.
There were times that the wave was so big that when the boats go down like this, you see nothing but wall of water. Something struck me saying that, even though I was a little kid, telling me that, your story needs to be heard. So I love nature.
Lee is an avid hiker and has been planning and preparing for this journey for years.
One of the height that stands out is Mount Whitney.
He mapped out his route, which is filled with symbolism. For most of the trip, he will be inside of the Pacific Ocean. And the 50 days represent 50 years that the boat people have been in the U.S. And he's hiking from Little Saigon in San Jose to a sister community in Westminster.
These are the two places that has the biggest Vietnamese community. And I thought it would be a great thing to do from this Little Saigon to Southern California Saigon.
And although he's setting out alone, he hopes to be joined along the way by others.
I would love to have boat people, refugee, to just come out, hike with me for an hour, 1 kilometer, or just sit and have lunch with me and share the story.
In middle school, he wrote the first chapter of his story, and over the next 50 days, he'll add the latest chapters, one step at a time.
If the hike goes according to schedule, Lam will reach Orange County by June 19th. Still ahead, doctors using artificial intelligence to detect rare diseases. We'll introduce you to a Bay Area woman who hopes the new program could help detect early signs of the same terminal illness that took her mother.
I enjoy every day of my life. I don't stay up at night worrying about stuff.
After the storm system that brought us a big cool down, windy conditions, and a lot more cloud coverage yesterday, it's quickly departing, moving over into the desert southwest and allowing a lot of dry air in its wake. You notice this big gap of dry air. This is what's going to be impacting us over the next 48 hours or so, and it's going to continue to allow our temperatures to warm up, and it's going to be really, really nice out there, not only this afternoon, but into tomorrow afternoon as well. Temperatures today are going to be back to seasonable, no longer below average like what we were feeling yesterday, as plenty of sunshine will persist. We'll be in the 70s across our inland areas. In fact, maybe even upper 70s to near 80 degrees in places like Fairfield. Low 70s down in the Santa Clara Valley. We'll be in the upper 60s for areas around the Bay, and then low 60s closer to our coastal communities. Honestly, really gorgeous out there, and it's only going to get warmer into tomorrow. If we look at our temperatures tomorrow afternoon, you'll be seeing widespread mid to potentially even upper 80s across our inland areas, and even 70s closer to the coast. I'll let you know how long these well above average temperatures will stick around. That'll be coming up in my full forecast.
If you know anybody with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, you know how devastating it can be. And this disease is affecting more people than it ever has before. According to the CDC, about 30,000 Americans are living with the disease, and that number is expected to rise by more than 10% over the next decade. There's no cure right now for ALS. And among those affected, Bay Area native Eric Dane, a 52-year-old actor who just revealed his diagnosis last month. But now there could be a breakthrough for early detection thanks to artificial intelligence. Our Itai Had introduces us to a North Bay woman who hopes a new program can help her spot a disease considered impossible to predict at one point.
These days, it's the little things Mindy Erlab appreciates the most. A hot cup of coffee, a song on the piano, her dog waiting by the door. Ordinary moments made extraordinary by what she knows could be coming.
I wish I didn't have to think about this, but at the same time, I try not to let it consume my life.
That is why, every week, she logs on and reads a few lines into an app trained to catch the faintest slur or shift in her speech.
A woman signed a sales contract for construction of a new brick home.
Erlab lost her mother to ALS.
Take a deep breath and say pataka over and over.
And even though she doesn't have the disease, she carries the gene.
Pataka, 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 pataka.
For now, this app, called Everything ALS, is helping her stay one step ahead.
You've been doing a good job.
The technology behind it was created by Indu Navar, a former high-tech executive who turned grief into purpose after losing her husband Peter to ALS. They searched for a diagnosis for 2 years. By the time they got one, most of his neurons were already gone.
That's the time you're supposed to be doing something.
Every 90 minutes, someone in the U.S. is diagnosed with ALS. But getting that diagnosis can take months, even years. By then, there's little doctors can do. So Navar turned to AI, creating an app that tracks speech, walking, and motor skills, spotting changes long before most humans can. By letting patients participate from home, Everything ALS not only makes clinical trials more accessible, it's giving researchers a data set that's bigger, faster, and more diverse. While early results seem promising, the app has not yet been approved by the FDA.
AI has allowed us to predict changes in small variation that happens.
As for Erlab, taking back a little control has given her something else, a way to write her own story.
I enjoy every day of my life. I don't stay up at night worrying about stuff.
Please say pop.
Pop.
Artificial intelligence, delivering not just a new tool, but new hope.
Nice work.
Navar and her team are already expanding the technology to other diseases, including Alzheimer's, Huntington's, and Parkinson's. Still ahead in our next half hour on CBS News Bay Area, the FBI here in the Bay leading the fight against cyber threats from countries like China. We'll get an inside look at some of the work being done.
The defenses are making progress. To be sure, we have better technology.
Plus, a closer look at San Francisco's program to help bring new life and business to the city. I'm I'm Max Darrow, and this is The Minute. San Francisco's population declining for the fourth year in a row, with more than 3,300 residents leaving in 2024. That's according to new figures from the Department of Finance. The city's population now stands at around 840,000. It's down 31,000 since 2020, despite California's overall population increase. A protest against Trump administration's immigration policies is happening today. People will gather at Tanforan Mall in San Bruno, where once was a Japanese-American internment camp during World War II. Rally will focus on the detentions of immigrants and citizens without due process. The Warriors face the Houston Rockets today in a deciding Game 7 playoff matchup. The winner goes on to play the Timberwolves in round 2. Warriors have experience going for them. 7 members of the Dubs played in a Game 7 before. Tip-off tonight at 5:30 in Houston. I'm Max Darrow with The Minute.
Happy Sunday. I'd say it's going to be a Sunday fun day across the Bay Area, especially compared to yesterday, as the winds are going to be calmer, plenty of sunshine, and temperatures back to normal for this time of year. For early May, this is what we should be feeling. We'll be back in the 70s, if not upper 70s, across the far inland East Bay communities, maybe even near 80 degrees in Fairfield. Low 70s down in the Santa Clara Valley, upper 60s closer to our bay, and then low 60s along the coast. Even they'll be warming up this afternoon as our winds begin to change direction. You notice today they're coming in from that onshore direction, but by late tonight and into early tomorrow morning, they will be switching around to an offshore wind. And as many of you know, offshore winds usher in much drier conditions. And they're going to be pretty gusty offshore winds as well, which is why we do have wind advisories in effect from late tonight through early tomorrow across the highest elevations of the interior parts of the Bay Area. Could be seeing those gusts up to 45 to 50 miles an hour, when the rest of us will be anywhere from 25 to 35 miles an hour. And again, because it's coming in from the offshore direction, it's ushering in drier air. But the good news is, fire concerns are at a minimum with this system, because we're looking at the soil and all of the stuff that normally catches on fire. It's pretty wet right now. It's pretty saturated. So fire concerns not as high, even though the offshore winds are definitely picking up tomorrow afternoon. That's going to allow our temperatures, though, to really warm up, especially across the interior parts of the Bay Area. We'll be seeing those highs getting into the upper 80s. We'll be seeing them in the upper 80s from Livermore all the way in to Napa, Vallejo, even mid-80s. Low 80s down in the Santa Clara Valley, upper 70s to low 80s, even for areas around the Bay. Even Redwood City could be at 81 tomorrow. Pacifica, potentially 70 degrees as a high temperature tomorrow afternoon. And even here in San Francisco, we could be near 80. So it is going to be really, really warm tomorrow, really, really sunny, and a bit windy as, again, those offshore winds develop. High pressure will continue to build overhead as well, and that's going to keep our temperatures at or above average basically for the rest of the week ahead of us. Low pressure quickly departing, those offshore winds picking up tomorrow afternoon, and then quieting down by Tuesday. Maybe a degree or 2 cooler on Tuesday afternoon, and cooling down even more on Wednesday, but it's not going to be necessarily cold. It's just going to be back to seasonable, maybe a degree or 2 below on Wednesday, back down into the low 60s across areas around the Bay, and then back into maybe the low 70s for our inland communities, and then right back into the 80s by Thursday, Friday next weekend, upper 80s. So overall, the first official week of May is looking really, really nice out there. A roller coaster of temperatures on the way, but no need to grab that umbrella.
Federal officials from the Department of Homeland Security were recently in San Francisco for the world's largest cybersecurity conference, and the FBI took the opportunity to partner with leading cybersecurity companies to help better address the growing threats to our national security. Kenny Choi sat down with the special agent in charge of the FBI's main field office in San Francisco to learn more.
The FBI says ransomware threats are growing and continue to disrupt critical services across the country. FBI Special Agent in charge Sanjay Vermani leads a team of 43 cyber agents and points to the People's Republic of China.
They are pervasive. The threats from them have grown significantly.
According to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3 received over 86,000 extortion complaints in 2024, an increase of nearly 79% over the prior year. Criminal groups are targeting U.S. businesses, stealing intellectual property, and infiltrating government systems.
They're basically positioning themselves for future disruptive attacks.
At the RSA Cybersecurity Conference this week, the FBI is reinforcing its message to businesses that strong collaboration and timely reporting are essential to protecting U.S. networks. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem also promised more partnerships with leading cybersecurity companies.
Instead of just talking about cybersecurity, we're going to do it. You're going to have a seat at the table that'll be much bigger and will help you partner with us in a way that really will make sure that there's consequences in place for bad actors.
Chris Inglis was the first national cyber director during the Biden administration.
The defenses are making progress. To be sure, we have better technology. We have kind of people, whether they're chief information security officers and a cadre of technical experts who are better by a country mile than they were 5-10 years ago. But the offense is proceeding much more quickly.
In a continuous cat and mouse game, the Department of Justice, the FBI, and other international law enforcement agencies have had recent success in disrupting malicious hackers like the Lockbit ransomware group in 2024.
We were able to actually get charges on the main actors. We were able to actually, disrupt some of the structure that was taking place with the ransomware.
Despite the growing number of attacks, the FBI continues to face challenges with underreporting.
When cyber incidents have happened, when individuals have gone and filed a report to IC3, that the FBI has been able to actually stop funds from actually getting to the hands of the bad actors.
Vermani is encouraging timely reporting to the FBI. Investigators found that only 20% of a major ransomware group's victims had reported the attack to law enforcement, a pattern consistent across multiple operations.
The FBI says in 2024, cyber incidents and internet-enabled fraud cost victims more than $16 billion. The FBI does have a dedicated website, ic3.gov. It is the central hub for reporting cyber-enabled crime. It is no secret that San Francisco continues to struggle luring businesses to its pricey commercial real estate market. The latest numbers show its recovery is still lagging well behind other prominent cities. According to new data, 35% of available commercial office space was empty in the first quarter of 25. Technically is a decrease from the previous quarter, but really incremental at best, as it's been right around that mark since June of last year. Compare that to New York, which is equally, if not more expensive. It's at 16%. Both Los Angeles and Seattle also now under that 30% marker. But there is a bright spot. More and more small businesses do appear to be signing up and getting involved with San Francisco's Vacant to Vibrant program. And the ones already in it are looking to both expand their footprints and sign longer leases. Currently are 10 pop-up spots that have signed long-term leases as a result of the program. As you can see on that map right there, they are all concentrated downtown in the financial district and in Soma near the Embarcadero. The list is about to expand into another part of the city, Union Square. That's where I caught up with the owner of Al Pastor Papi, which once was an incredibly popular food truck until it shut down. And the owner now is looking to bring his unique flavor to the neighborhood.
And
looking up at the Dewey Monument in Union Square,
it reminds me a lot.
Miguel Escobedo sees a connection between his soon-to-open restaurant's new neighborhood and the place the food he's proud to serve comes from.
And Mexico's Ángel de la Independencia stands proud in Mexico City, so I love that. Visually, I love that.
Just another sign he's made the right decision. Miguel is in the midst of opening a brick-and-mortar location of Al Pastor Papi.
This is cool.
With his famous Trompo al Pastor at 232 O'Farrell.
The Trompo al Pastor is going to go over there, so when you're ordering, you come in, you're going to see that slice of Mexico City right in front of you.
This spot has stood vacant for years. It was a Chipotle pre-pandemic.
And it's just been needing a new parent since then. So the Papi's coming.
And that is thanks to SF New Deal's Vacant to Vibrant pop-up program. It's a public-private partnership to fill vacant storefronts with small businesses. Participating property owners offer the pop-ups a couple of months of free rent. Grants give the pop-ups a stipend, and SF New Deal helps with the back-of-the-house support.
I mean, Union Square is kind of the heart of San Francisco, so for me to even have this opportunity, it's kind of surreal.
Since Vacant to Vibrant's inception nearly 2 years ago, they've brought 18 small business pop-ups to downtown San Francisco. And they've seen some success because more than half of those pop-ups determined they wanted to sign long-term leases to stay in San Francisco.
There is a lot of vacant space, and we are aiming to bring vibrancy.
Simon Bertrang, SF New Deal's executive director, says the conversations with property owners have really changed since they launched the concept.
So they are really eager to participate in the program because they see both that they create some temporary activation that creates this vibrancy for their properties, but also there's a chance that they could find a long-term tenant that they might not have been able to access before.
He says over the course of the next year, they will create the space for 25 more pop-ups. And Bertrang's eyes are really set on a downtown corridor just around the corner from Al Pastor Papi.
Powell Street in particular, has a very high vacancy rate, but it still has a lot of foot traffic. The city and SF New Deal are hoping that we're going to be able to sign some leases on all 3 blocks of Powell Street.
All of my food endeavors have always been like a love letter to San Francisco. So I think she's writing back, like, come back, come to me, help me out.
Miguel is signed on for an 18-month lease.
Yeah, so it's a good chunk to see what we can do.
A chance to get in on the ground floor of a neighborhood looking to grow into a new version of itself at the heart of San Francisco. Al Pastor Papi is one of 3 newly announced pop-ups. Another one, New Works, is also opening in Union Square. Craftivity will be opening in the Eastcut neighborhood. They're all looking at this summer. Coming up next, turn your worn-out sneakers into a work of art. Help save the planet at the same time, too. I'll tell you about the local movement to give shoes a second life and keep them out of our landfills.
This is all made from scratch, just started as the sole.
And AI meets farming. Take a trip with us to wine country to check out Tom's Ride. It's saving money and helping the planet at the same time.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
Happy Sunday. We are in for a treat with a gorgeous first official week of May ahead of us. And today it's going to be significantly warmer than yesterday with a lot more sunshine and a lot calmer winds. By tomorrow, a significant heat up on the way, upper 80s returning to our inland locations, although a bit of a cool down will be arriving by the middle parts of the upcoming week. It's just going to be back to seasonable for this time of year. It's really not going to be below average at all for the first official week of the month. Even our coastal communities are going to be warming up to near 70 tomorrow afternoon, a beautiful beach day to kick off the week.
In today's Project Earth, the topic is sneakers. We throw away tens of millions of them every year, and they mostly go into landfills where they contaminate our soil and groundwater. But now there's a solution afoot thanks to an East Bay sneaker repair shop and the Golden State Warriors. Ann Makovic laces it up.
In downtown Oakland, some see this man as a savior of souls. Once inside his workshop, Jeff Pearlstein does not intend to deliver anyone from evil. These days, his mission in life is to save your sneakers.
There's millions, billions of shoes in the world already, and they're creating a lot of waste. Unfortunately, it's toxicity for the planet.
Jeff runs Soul Space Lab.
Oh yeah, see?
The nonprofit is a unique sneaker repair shop that focuses on sustainability and community learning.
Lots of people are concerned about the future of our planet, our impact on it, but feel kind of helpless. And so this is a real opportunity for people to make a difference.
Here, workshops teach folks how to upcycle, refurbish, or customize their kicks. The resulting handiwork is pretty cool, including
this was taken from cork.
A sneaker decorated with recycled cork.
This is all made from scratch, just started as the sole.
The Wu-Tang Clan sneaker. And
this was done in just a couple hours by a team of high schoolers.
Just in time, one for the Golden State Valkyries. Sometimes older sneaks just need a new sole and a whitening under UV light. Joining Jeff in the effort, the Golden State Warriors. Recently, the team threw a sustainable soul event at Thrive City.
How could we make sneakers, give them a second life, give them a third life?
Former Warrior Adonal Foyle was on hand to help give away some lightly worn sneakers.
I saw that they was giving out free shoes, and then you can also donate some shoes to help out the community and environment.
It's so important to think about the legacy that you want to leave behind. Not just what you do on the court, but the legacy of how you think of the environment and how you think of the next generation.
Pop-up workshops showed ways to customize shoes.
They have all these cool little stencils and stuff, so I was like, why not give it a try?
So what I'm going to do is do half blue, half yellow. On this shoe, I'm going to put the UCLA logo on there.
My favorite player is Steph Curry, so I just did that.
Foyle knows what's at stake. When he played for the Warriors, he burned through a lot of shoes.
When I was playing, we pretty much used one sneaker, one game.
Now Foyle's size 17s have a brand new life as a prize for his charity golf tournament.
Giving somebody a trophy, we give them a size 17 sneakers.
Back in Oakland, Jeff feels hopeful about the future.
This is a real opportunity for people to do something that's right in their hands, that they can be proud of, excited about, express their creativity, and actually make some change.
By saving a couple of old souls.
Sometimes only the soles of your shoes get worn out. If you didn't know, you can get them resold at your local cobbler. For more information on shoe waste and sole space labs, head to our website, kpix.com. Coming up, we will introduce you to the winemakers using artificial intelligence to help grow their grapes. How the new technology is helping develop your next glass of Cabernet.
Is it doing what you expected to do? It's doing more of what we expected to. There's a steep learning curve.
After the storm system that brought us a big cool down, windy conditions, and a lot more cloud coverage yesterday, it's quickly departing, moving over into the desert southwest and allowing a lot of dry air in its wake. You notice this big gap of dry air. This is what's going to be impacting us over the next 48 hours or so, and it's going to continue to allow our temperatures to warm up, and it's going to be really, really nice out there, not only this afternoon, but into tomorrow afternoon as well. Temperatures today are going to be back to seasonable, no longer below average like what we were feeling yesterday, as plenty of sunshine will persist. We'll be in the 70s across our inland areas. In fact, maybe even upper 70s to near 80 degrees in places like Fairfield. Low 70s down in the Santa Clara Valley. We'll be in the upper 60s for areas around the bay, and then low 60s closer to our coastal communities. Honestly, really gorgeous out there, and it's only going to get warmer into tomorrow. If we look at our temperatures tomorrow afternoon, you'll be seeing widespread mid to potentially even upper 80s across our inland areas, and even 70s closer to the coast. I'll let you know how long these well above average temperatures will stick around. That'll be coming up in my full forecast.
The Bay Area is known for its tech and its wine, so it only makes sense that the two industries would eventually collide. Brian Hackney shows us how a Napa winery is using artificial intelligence to help its crop.
Every time he steps onto his Napa Valley Gamble Estates vineyard,
I'm an inveterate tinkerer.
Tom Gamble brings more than 100 years of family farming history from the past into the future.
And this is very unique. Regular tractors don't have this.
This is not his grandfather's tractor.
You can go to your smart screen and you can see if you're in four-wheel drive and turn on the work lights. Like we have smartphones, this is a smart tractor.
This is the Monarch Mark V, the world's first electric autonomous tractor.
It is a 40 horsepower constant tractor with a battery of 110 kilowatts, lasting us anywhere between 4 to 14 hours worth of work.
Fabian Alvarez works for Monarch Tractor.
They're made here in Livermore, California.
Whoa, that's fantastic.
Made in the USA.
This is where it gets interesting and the work begins.
Across 170 acres, the Monarch will map rows of Tom's vines and soon weed them by itself.
So we're I'm using the hand-operated mode right now, and a little later we'll switch to row follow, which is hands-free operation. We're now in row follow. Look, Mom, no hands. How long have you been using this? So this will be our 3rd year and our 2nd full season.
And is it doing what you expected to do?
It's doing more of what we expected to. There's a steep learning curve.
With GPS and 5G technology, the Monarch uploads data to the cloud so Tom's team can download the data and analyze it.
We're saving emissions of about 40 to 50 tons of carbon annually and $10,000 to $13,000 in fuel cost. Bottom line, we're farmers and we have to be conscious of cost. That's a big savings and a big contribution to the environment.
Future versions of the Monarch will use its infrared cameras to detect disease on the vines well before the human eye can spot it.
And early detection means better prevention.
And you can obviously do this hands-free.
I can do this hands-free.
So is this going to cost humans jobs?
In this industry, in the Napa Valley wine industry, no.
Tom predicts that future tractor drivers will become more highly trained, highly skilled, and highly paid.
You don't have to worry. It steers itself.
And you may think it's only a tractor, but
without tractors, how do we feed the world? So I think that's a win-win.
Definitely something to get excited about there in Napa Valley. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Max Darrow. We'll be right back with your first alert forecast and today's top stories.